Hey, what's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. Howdy, y'all. How y'all doing out there? Y'all all right? Y'all okay? Okay. It is your girl, Miss Honey, here for a movie review surprise. I'm sure you guys probably had an inclination if you follow me at all on IG. All I have been talking about is The Harder They Fall. You guys know I have been preliminarily dropping some trailers, links to trailers out on YouTube, thumbnails, the whole lot of The Harder They Fall. They started promoting this well before the summer. And I have been talking about it ever since then in preparation for this movie because it has an absolutely outstanding cast. And we are going to get into that. But in preparation for its debut on Netflix this past Wednesday. So today is the 7th, 6th, 4th. So this debuted November 3rd, I believe, on Netflix, which was Wednesday. And I was so excited. Like, it's all I wanted to do. I came into my office, I hurried up and did as much as I could do, and then I went and settled down into this movie. I knew that it was going to be good. I knew it was going to be good because the trailers were so good, and you cannot bring a cast like this together and it not be good. Well, you can, but this was the right time. This was the right time to give us a black Western. Now, this has been done before, okay? Actually, though, two of the producers of this show, The Harder They Fall, is, I think his name is, it's either James, a play on James, Jeymes Samuel, or it's Jemez Samuel. He actually did a little, you may remember it, some of you may put it down below, a little 2013 movie, They Die by Dawn, which starred, as you guys know, one of my favorite, which is Michael K. Williams, Erica Badu, Rosario Dawson, Isaiah Washington, Jesse Williams, Bokeem Woodbine was in there. Y'all know me and Bokeem Woodbine. Oh, y'all know we've been together steady. Bokeem and I have been together steady since Underground. Like, even before that, when he was on Soul Food, I was with Bokeem Woodbine. Y'all know in Queen and Slim, he played my favorite role in Queen and Slim. Bokeem Woodbine always gives, darling, always gives. David Banner, the rapper and now activist, was in it. Henry Lennox, who is a very well-known name. Giancarlo Esposito, who actually played he was the nemesis in Breaking Bad. So yeah, it just an all-star cast. And this was back in 2013, and it was a Western. And Erica Badu played Stagecoach Mary. That was sort of a prequel, but people really don't talk about it being a prequel because it was so not great. It was so not great. Like I said, it was a little ahead of its time. It wasn't ready yet financially, money wise. I mean, I think we saw Michael K. Williams ride a horse. And when we saw him, he was already on the horse, right? Like it was a lot of dialogue. It was dialogue heavy. It wasn't action heavy. And if you guys are Western lovers like myself, you know the balance of the two, the one-liners, the husbandry, baby, the animal husbandry, the horses, right? Everything that comes along with horse riding and being a black cowboy, being a cowboy, period. flat out, it was just not there. The outfits were there, but they weren't really stellar. But it was just there's this demeanor to being a black cowboy baby. There's this demeanor, right? So that's a little known fact. So you guys might want to check that out. Just don't expect a lot. It's really great in terms of the melanated scenery. Like I said, there's a bevy of people of color in it, but it's not it. You can't go from the harder they fall back to that because it doesn't work. It just doesn't work, right? So let's get into the harder they fall now that we've talked about that. Also, Jay-Z is one of the producers here, and I'm sure he had a lot to do with how beautifully done the soundtrack was for this movie. The soundtrack was absolutely fabulous for this movie. It was spot on. It's one thing to bring modern day music into period pieces, but it's a different thing altogether where it's being brought in and it is cohesive. It is relevant, right? It's not just dropped in and you just for no reason you're doing this Jamaican saunter, right? Like it doesn't make sense. But just like we saw in Underground, where we were talking about the slavery period, right? The music was modern music and we loved it. It drove the score, you know what I'm saying? That score wrote out the dialogue and the scenes. It drove the storyline is what I mean to say. It spoke to the storyline. It spoke to, the feeling in each scene. Was driven, was beautifully accessorized by the music. And this movie, The Harder They Fall, it's no different, right? Like I'm eagerly awaiting to get this soundtrack for this movie. I'm also excited about the possibility of a sequel happening because I think it could I just hate that Michael K. Williams has gone on home to be with the Lord because, baby, I could see him all up and through here, especially the sequel, right? Like, oh my gosh. He's actually the only thing that I missed is Michael K. Williams and Chadwick Boseman, but there is a nod to Chadwick Boseman in this movie, The Harder They Fall. But those are two actors that I'm definitely I missed in this. But listen, you will miss some things, like things you would have liked to see to accompany, right? Or maybe in the sequel, but you don't leave feeling like you missing something after you see this movie. I've heard people say that they've seen it over and over and over again. I'm notorious for repeat watching, especially when I love stuff. I can watch it over and over again, even like 10, 12 years from now. I could turn that joker on and watch it like it was the first day. Okay. Especially when it comes to beautiful melanated scenery. But let's jump into it now that I've chewed your ear off about what's going on. You guys know I love an old nasty piece of costuming. I'm giving you a cowboy-esque cowgirl tease, old glamorous piece of cowgirl tease. Okay. All right, let's do this. Listen. This movie, The Harder They Fall, like I said, is on Netflix. It came out on Wednesday. It stars, well, first of all, we find out maybe 4 or 5 scenes in that there's good guys and there's bad guys. Both the good guys and the bad guys are melanated, right? So even though we've got our clutch of bad guys, they're some of our favorite actors. They're some of our favorite actresses, right? So you have this kind of warring with yourself when you see that, although these are bad guys, I'm talking about like bad guys, right? Like they have been written for you to hate them, but you love the actor. You love the acting, you love the actress, and the actress is acting like, it's so good. It's so good, right? Okay, so we've got our clutch of bad guys and our clutch of good guys, right? And along the way, we see they kind of line up, right? Okay, so we got Idris Elba, who is the bad guy, Rufus Black. And then we've got Jonathan Majors, who plays Nate Love, the leader of the good guys, right? Rufus Black is the leader of the bad guys. Nate Love is the leader of the good guys, right? Then we have the female sidekick who both equally are a force, right? We have Regina King on the bad guy side. She's playing old treacherous Trudy Smith, right? And then we have Zazie Beetz or Betts, Beetz, who plays stagecoach Mary on the good guys side, right? And she's also Nate Love, Jonathan Majors' love interest, right? We don't really know what's going on between Regina King and Idris Elba character, Rufus Black, and treacherous Trudy. We do get a sense that she has affection for him, but she is steeped in such hardness and such ruthlessness, which is how she has to be in order to run with this ruthless arse bad guy gang, that she's not able to show it. So she shows it in other ways by being his number one henchman, right? By running the crew, right? By keeping the crew in line, even though Rufus Black is the figurehead of the bad guy gang, okay? Then we have Lakeith Stanfield on the bad guy gang. He's the guns. Okay, he's fast. He's one of the fastest guns in the West. Now, you guys know, who if you're Western lovers such as myself, you know that the fastest gun is always where the action is, okay? We always have to have a fastest gun. We have to have a sheriff, okay, a marshal of some sort, right? Or a general, right, of some sort. We got to have a fastest gun. We've got to have an outlaw, baby. Old ruthless outlaw, baby. Old cutthroat, low down, dirty skunk of a guy. You know what I'm saying? Bad guy. You got to have that. And then you got to have your no nonsense. I ain't never scared. Okay. I'm just as bad as you are, good guy. Right? My guns shoot just as heavy as your guns, good guy, right? That's Nate Love. Okay, so we got Lakeith Stanfield, he's the gun, okay, the fastest gun on the bad guys, Rufus Buck team. And then we have RJ Seiler, who is the fastest guy, Jim Beckworth, okay, another famous name in Westerns. Nate Love, Stagecoach Mary, Jim Beckworth. Some of these names you will see repeated through a lot of Westerns, a lot of black Westerns, right? So he's the gun. Jim Beckworth is played by RJ Seiler. He is the gun for Nate Love. And then you have Eddie or Edie or Edie, Gathiga. I don't know. I can't say it. It's a Kenyan name, Gathega. He plays Bill Pickett. Now, most of you guys know the name Bill Pickett. Like, that's a pretty common name thrown out there in a lot of Westerns, right? Bill Pickett. He, little known fact, Eddie Gathega played in a movie called Startup, in a show called Startup. It's also on Netflix. It has 7 seasons. He plays the devil out of the character in there. I'm talking about, when I tell you he goes hard on this character, he plays a Haitian drug dealer and gang head who turns to puts his money in a startup company. You know what I'm saying? Like a startup, like Silicon Valley startup. It's good, you guys. It is really, really good. So check out Startup, right, on Netflix as well. All 7 seasons are out there. So here's an opportunity, binge alert, right? Okay. So he and Jim Beckworth and Bill Pickett are like buddies, right? They are essentially and Bass Reeves, who is played by Delroy Lindo. Bass Reeves, you guys, Bass Reeves is also a well-known Western name. I used to have such a crush on Delroy Lindo. Delroy Lindo plays in cool movies. If you ever see a movie and you go through the cast to see who in that movie and it says Delroy Lindo, I don't care if it's Law and Order, I don't care if it's a TV movie or if it's a movie, watch it because Delroy Lindo brings it. Even if his role is just a snippet, he's got so much texture. He was always a very handsome guy, but he plays a good guy equally as well as he plays a bad guy. And baby, when he plays a bad guy, he plays a bad guy. Okay. But anyway, that's Nate Love's gang, right? He on the bad guy side, we have, like I said, Lakeith Stanfield plays Cherokee Bill, who is the gun. We have Dion Cole, who plays Wiley Esco, who is sort of this individual who is who was in cahoots with all the residual fallout that was going on with the bad guy gang, but they end up turning against one another. And he ends up siding with the good guy side. But Dion Cole did an excellent job and still managed to be funny in this. You know, there are a lot of funny moments, even though it's action, lots of action. Woody McClain plays Clyde Grimes, and Damon Wayans Jr. plays Monroe Grimes. Now, we don't get to see Woody McClain through the whole movie. We just get to see him like in the second or third scene of this movie, but he does a good job. And there's this whole dialogue that goes back and forth between Bill Pickett, Jim Beckworth from the good guy side, and Clyde Grimes, Monroe Grimes, played by Don Wayans, Damon Wayans, and Woody McClain. That is hilarious. It's hilarious. Like, it is hilarious, right? Like, there's so many really great one-liners. I fully anticipate that a lot of these one-liners, a lot of these little quips, these literary jewels, right, are going to be all over TikTok. Like, people are going to be mimicking them. You know how they do, and they pretend like it's their voice and it's this saying, the dialogue is going to be chopped up. It's going to be memed. It's going to be done for the rest of this year for sure, you guys. And next year, I predict that a lot of costumes are going to be surrounding this genre, this specific movie, which I predict will be definitely a cult classic, at least in the Black culture, I think. Okay, so now I said all that, I want us to come up to speed on what's happening here. One of the reasons why I really, really love Westerns is because everything about a Western just gives me just this good guy, bad guy energy. I respond very well to that type of setting. I love a hero. I love, the justice part of it. Like, you're going to ride down on these bad guys and you're going to give them what for. Like, that's in my will. That's why I love Westerns. And I watch all types of Westerns, you guys. There's very few Westerns that I have seen. I have gone through Netflix and watched movies and forgotten about them, boo. And then go look at them again. And I just have to read a little bit, or I'll start it and get like through the first few scenes. And I'm like, oh yeah, I saw this. I'm still gonna watch it, but oh yeah, I saw it. There's 3:10 to Yuma is one of my favorite Western movies. Open Range, which is a little bit more current. It's an old movie, but it's the setting for the movie is a little bit more current. It's up in the Western genre. Of course, anything with Maverick in it. I don't care if it was Will Smith or the original guy who was playing Maverick. I mean, your girl's a Western girl, right? Your girl's a Western girl. Always have loved Westerns. TV shows, it doesn't matter. I've seen every episode. I promise you, I love Westerns. But I have a special place in my heart for Black cowboys. It's just nothing like it. And listen, there aren't a lot. There aren't a lot of shows. There aren't a lot of movies out there that have Black cowboys in them, right? Little known fact, I actually put something up on my IG page. So if you get a chance to check that out, Miss Honey 8 on Instagram. Miss Honey 8 is my Instagram name. Also, it's down in the comments below, down in the description below. But I posted a little clip from a guy who was quoting Lethal Lex, who is part of the Black Lives Live movement in Utah. Well, she posted some information about black cowboys. Actually, there are no white cowboys per se, right? The original term cowboy was meant for black men who work ranches. White men who work ranches were called cow hands, right? If there was a black man that worked a ranch back in the day, he was called a cowboy, right? It's steeped in racism, the name cowboy, right? I always say black cowboy because when you say black cowboy, it takes it out of this whole genre of just, your typical. It's kind of like when you see pictures of Jesus, you hardly ever see black Jesus until you in like a black home or you're in the black culture and community. You'll see black Jesus, but everywhere else they think that Jesus is white, like lamb's wool. Anyway, it's the same thing with black cowboys, right? When you say black cowboys, it lets a person know, like, you say black cowboy, yeah. Original thugs, right? The original Roughnecks was a black cowboy, right? It's everything you needed to be, right? If you think they sexy, put a horse up under them and know how to ride. Know how to ride? What? Come on. I don't care if it's a male or a female. Black cowboys are one of the best things out there going, you guys. Listen, there's a movie. It's not a very long movie, but there's a movie on Hulu. And it is based on a story about, Lord help me find it. I should have found it before I got on here. But listen, there is it is the story of a black cowboy. And it is called, let me see here. Oh boy, this is important, so I'm gonna look for it. I'll put it down below. I'm not gonna hold you guys up for it, but listen, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's based off of this one. I got so many names floating around in my head, but it's based off of this one black cowboy that's well known. In the history, in the annals of cowboy history. Oh my gosh. You guys will absolutely positively love this. Again, it's not a very long movie, but it is so good. So yeah, we'll talk. I'll put it down below. But Hell on the Border. Hell on the Border is the name of it, right? Hell on the Border. Can you guys see that? Okay, and it stars David Gyasi, Frank Grillo. It was directed by Wes Miller, and it's inspired by the incredible true story of Bass Reeves. You guys, the same person that Delroy Lindo plays in The Harder They Fall, he plays Bass Reeves. This movie on Hulu, Hell on the Border, is all about his story. The first black deputy U.S. Marshal. In order to become a lawman, Bass accepts an assignment that no other marshal will take, eliminating Bob Dozier, the most dangerous outlaw in the Indian Territory. So you guys check that out. That's a 2019 movie, you guys. It's an hour and 50 minutes, and you will love it. You will love it. You will love the relationship between Bass Reeves and his wife and his family. You've got to see this movie. Another great Western. Okay? Just saying. Just saying. So I'm going to tell you really briefly what this is about. The Harder They Fall. Let's get back to that, okay? Basically, spoilers. Basically, we come upon Nat Love and his family. Nat Love is like 9. He may be like 13. His dad is there, and he's a man of the cloth, and his mom there. This is a beautiful Western homestead. They're sitting down for supper, all together supper. You guys who are Real Housewives. I mean, not Real Housewives. Ooh, Freudian. Little House on the Prairie fans. You guys know what supper is. I got to be home before supper. That's Laura Ingalls. And there's someone that comes out that rides up outside, several horsemen. And when his dad goes to the door, he goes to the door, and the moment that he sees who's at the door, the dread is on his face. He said, "No, oh no." And then he walks off really calmly and he sits down. We never see the bad guy's face. He sits down. He kills mom. He kills dad. After dad pleads, when this is between you and I. This is between you and I. Leave them out of it. Oh, no, no, no. This is about punishing you, sir. Something that you've done. I don't know what it is, but some relationship that you guys have had, you haven't always been in the clergy. I can tell this. Shoots mom, shoots dad, and then cuts across. Has his old one of his gang members hold Nate Love as a 13-year-old boy, hold his shoulders down and hold him tight, right? The guy had a scorpion on his hand, and the bad guy carves a cross in his forehead. We learn later on that the bad guy did that because he wanted to know who this individual was when they come for him, if they ever come for him again. He left a scar so he'd know him when he see him, right? Because you're doing this as a child, so when you see this person again, they'll probably be an adult, right? Then we get to see Nate Love fully grown, right? And he is kneeled down in front of this podium in this church, right? And it's giving us Quentin Tarantino. What's the movie where they had all the vampires? Quentin Tarantino loves to do like those Mexican Western type shoot 'em up, boom, boom, pow. But there was a vampire movie that Quentin Tarantino did that's very popular, right? It was like that, right? And this guy walks in, and he looks like he might be a member of the clergy as well now. And he walks in and he sees this guy kneel, and he's like, "Who's looking for me?" He's like, Nate Love's character tells him, he says, "Why a scorpion?" Oh, at that moment I knew who he was when he said, "Why a scorpion?" Because they made sure in the first scene when with the Loves and Nate Love as their son that we saw that scorpion, right? And he says, "Why a scorpion?" I mean, of all things, people put all types of tattoos on their bodies, markings on their bodies. Why a scorpion? And the guy's kind of thrown off a little bit, like, "You know me, but I don't know you." And when he stands up and he takes off his hat, Nate Love, he sees that scar that is the shape of a cross in his forehead. And instantly, Scorpion Hand gets... Listen. That was a different me at a different time, and I'm sorry. And it wasn't me. I didn't. And before he can get the conversation out good, Nate Loves, now he's preparing the whole time. See, what you guys have to understand about Westerns, it's a lot about the there's a quiet place in Westerns where the clip clop of the horse, the riding in on the horse tells a story, right? The sound of the spurs, click, it's I can't do a spur sound, but it's like chink, 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 chink. Every time they walk, those spurs on their boots will chink, 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 chink. Especially when they walk into the saloon, the sound of the saloon door, right? And also the sound of the coat, the leather coats, when they kick that coat, the tail of that coat back, okay, to reveal their guns, right? So they getting ready. He throws it back, and he's still explaining, but he goes ahead and throws the tail of that coat back because he know he got to be ready. He got to be faster than Nate Love, but very few people are faster than Nate Love, baby. Okay, Nate Love shoots him dead, pew, 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 pew. Right? Shoots him dead. Ooh. Listen, this where I got a little Quentin Tarantino tease, because the blood is like, y'all know Quentin Tarantino does like those kitschy, what do you call it? Cult favorite type, splat to whack, swing. If you watch any Quentin Tarantino, like the blood is like gratuitous, like, right? And then he turns around, Nate Love, after he kills the guy, he turns around and tells the priest that he can come out now, the priest of the church, and he says, you can get $5,000 for this guy's body. And the priest was like, why don't you turn it in and get the money? He said, because I'm worth 10. I was like, ah! Right? He's avenging his family. This is 13-year-old Nate Love grown up, and he is avenging his family one by one. He is picking them off. Right? He's killed all of them. Everybody that was there that day that killed his family, that was a part of killing his family. He's killed them all, right? Except the man that did the carving. The man that his dad was so afraid of when he opened that door. Okay, then we get to see the revelation of his gang. We get to see Bill Pickett and Jim Beckworth, who are, it turns out that Nate Love's gang, which are the good guys in this movie, his gang is a gang that robs gangs that rob banks, right? So a gang will rob a bank. Nate Love's gang is like Robin Hood, right? He robs the bank robbers. And so when we first see Woody McClane's character and Damon Wayne's character, Monroe and Clyde Grimes, and we see they are with a bunch of other people, and they're shooting it out with Bill Pickett and Jim Beckworth, and they're robbing them. And everybody gets killed off except for Monroe Grimes. He's taken back to the headquarters once he reveals, you know who money you stealing? You must not know who money you stealing. We still don't know yet, right? So what happens is we go back to Nate Love, and Nate Love is riding into town, baby. And this is where we get to meet the beautiful stagecoach Mary, right? There's a young woman who she has at the door, who actually becomes so much more pivotal to the show than Stagecoach Mary does. I mean, Stagecoach Mary plays a huge role, and she did also in the 2013 movie where Erykah Badu played her. She's an old gun-toting saloon owner, baby, and she don't take no guff, right? She's the only one that's supposed to have a gun in her saloon, baby, and she carries a shotgun, okay? Double barrel, okay? And she keep it on the ready. Well, she's got a young lady played by Danielle Deadweiler, who's one of the good guys, mind you, and that's played by, she plays Cathay Williams, right? And she does an absolutely beautiful job. She does a really, really great job. She's at the door when Nate Loves comes in. She wants everybody to give up their guns. She's a tough individual. What I love about this character is we learned that she may be same gender loving. But what I loved about how Cathay's character was written was that it wasn't this stereotypical type of setup for her. When you first meet Cathay, she could be a woman who was abused or sexually aggressed on by men, and was making a choice to dress as a man as a means of survival, as a means of being considered equal. Like, don't mess with me. I'm not here for you to rape and pillage and rob and manhandle. I'm a woman who takes care of her own. And one of the ways she denoted that was in her garb, in what she wore. She dressed like a dude, right? And she also, not necessarily fought like a dude, I won't say that, but she fought smart like a woman, right? She wasn't just like, I'm gonna lift you up off the ground and beat you into a pulp. No, she was a small woman in stature, and she was thin, but she was strategic in her fighting, which made her a better fighter. She was strategic in her shooting, which made her faster than the fastest gun in this show, in this movie, right? which was Lakeith's character, Cherokee Bill. But we gonna get to that. Okay, so she's there at the door and she's in charge of taking guns. We find out in this scene that Nate Love and Stagecoach Mary have a past. It is a past that is, kind of like one of those back and forth relationships, maybe one of those slightly hellish relationships. They both have equal love for one another, but she's working on trying to be tough and protect it because she's got so much riding on it, a business, a reputation, and her own safety. If it comes out that she's this tough, this weak type of individual, her business kind of will suffer because it's mostly a male driven or a business that males frequent, right? So she's got to be badass all the way through. Okay, so she loves him, but she don't want to be too soft and weak with him because one, he's hurt her before, and two, like I said, she's got a lot riding on this tough image. But he is very, very clear about his feelings for her. He is very vulnerable. Jonathan Major does a very good job as Nate Love. He gives us the same tenderness and thoughtfulness as an actor. He translates that over into a character, even though the character is supposed to be tough, even though the character is supposed to be no nonsense, even though the character is has to show aggression and a form of violence in their role. He always finds a way, Jonathan Major, to give the character this tenderheartedness, this softness, especially when it comes to his woman, right? Yeah. So good, right? Okay, so we learn in this moment when they bring the Monroe Grimes character played by Damon Wayans, when Bill and Jim Beckworth and Bill Pickett come, they bring his character into the conversation because he's told them that money belonged to Rufus Buck and the Rufus Buck gang, okay, which is headed by Idris Elba as Rufus Buck and Regina King as his female sidekick, treacherous Trudy Smith, right? And the conversation had already been had between Stagecoach and Mary and Nat Love that he was there to get with her because he felt like he did all the killing. And she said, you ain't killed the main one, Rufus, the one who killed your family and did this thing to you. And he said he's already dead. He's dead because he's locked up for the rest of his natural born life, right? And she was like, yeah, if you really, really wanted to see this thing through, you make sure he was dead too. So he was trying to say, I'm done with all of this killing and vengeance killing because the last person I can't even reach him. So they might as well be dead to me. Well, he learns from Grimes's character that he's not dead, right? And in this moment, he releases this guy and sends this guy back to the gang that he came from, Rufus's gang. It's his way of saying, I'm coming for you, right? But now we got to get to meet the bad guys, right? It's crazy. So when we see our bad guys, right, they're on horses. And then we cut away to this scene where there's a train coming down the track. The C.A. Bozeman, right? Shout out to Chadwick Boseman. The C.A. Bozeman is the name of the train. And we get to see, for the first time, Regina King. At this time, we don't know if Regina King is going to be a good guy or a bad guy yet. We have no idea. But she's on this horse, and she and the horse are standing on the train tracks. The way they shoot this, she looks like she's 9 feet tall on this horse. I mean, she looks like a really great, tall character. Like it was beautifully shot, because here she is, this small woman, Regina King, but everything they did to write her, the way she played it as well, she came across as larger than life. She came across physically as menacing, right? Because of the way she carried herself, because of the way she dressed, right? And because of the way her character is shot. Right? And so the train stops and she gets on and there's this whole exchange. We also get to see Lakeith Stanfield's character, Cherokee Bill, for the first time. And he gives us dialogue. That dialogue is smart and it's funny. This is one of the few times we get to see white folks, which I was fine with. We get to see white folks one other time in this movie, and I was okay with that. I loved the fact that I see now that these are the bad guys, and even though I love them in this moment, I love the way they handle these white army people in this moment. The conversation, the quit, like the no nonsense, like that's the other thing about westerns is that someone could get shot at any moment. Someone could get a arrow in the back at any moment. At any moment, someone could die from polio, or back then it was a type of plague, the sickness. A child, a woman, anybody. Like it was in the Western day times, 1800s, man. It was hard going. It was a hard life. It was a hard life if you were upstanding and just a farmer. It was a hard life because nature was kicking your butt, right? And it was a hard life if you was out here robbing, if you was a saloon owner. One of the favorite things I love about westerns is like when a bad guy rolls in town, everybody closes the shutters, you know what I'm saying, and gets down low and goes inside and stays, down below the windows, because the windows are the first thing to go in westerns. Okay, so on this train, like I said, the dialogue is really, really good. We also learn on this train that they're carrying Rufus Buck. They're carrying him from one place to another, and his gang has gotten paperwork from a crooked political guy, who it was in his best interest to completely pardon Rufus Buck and every member of his gang. So the thing that he's supposed to go to jail for life for, and they're supposed to be captured for as wanted men, it's no more. They've been completely pardoned, and she's got the paperwork. Well, she shows this general, and this is the first scene that we see Idris Elba, Rufus Buck character, right? He comes out of this really dark, the way they set it up like he was almost like a dragon, like this huge hulking beast, right? They let him out, and he steps down out of this metal cage that they had him shackled and tied into and locked, right? They do all that, and he steps out of there like John Coffey, and it's that big, and he's that tall. But it's his silence. It's his silence that makes him so psychopathic and deadly, because the things that he does without blinking. He is a good bad guy. A good bad guy. We also get to see little tender moments, right? First gets out, he lays his head on treacherous Trudy's shoulder. And it's this moment I realize, oh, she likes him. And it seems like he likes her, but we never see any more affection as it pertains to her through the rest of this movie. This is the only movie where he gives her a bit of affection. And the way she kind of melted into it let us know that the feelings felt one-sided, right? She had a lot of love for him, but he didn't reciprocate. Unlike our good guys, which we see Stagecoach Mary Zaza Beats kind of lean into those tender moments that she had with Nat Love, right? She kind of leaned into those moments. But this isn't the same dynamic that we have between Treacherous Trudy and Rufus Buck. Nonetheless, they are completely and utterly devoted to Rufus Buck. One of my favorite scenes is they need someone to drive the train, and he says, "Can anyone here drive a train?" The guy lifts his hand. This is one time that volunteering goes right? Because the minute he raises his hand, he says, "Save that guy. Everyone else kill him. Kill everybody else but the guy that can drive the train." And then he walks through, and all you hear is pew, 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 pew. right? It's a bloody moment. And it's in this moment we realize, oh, our bad guys are black too. Oh my gosh, it just leveled the movie up for me so much. Oh my gosh, I love this. I love this. Here is a full on black cast, and the story is not being told about the good and the evil of a black and white character, but the good and the evil of two black characters, both of which have come from the muck and the mire, both of which who have come from a really hard past, right? And are living and are surviving in a really hard time. Well, it's hard enough being a cowboy, hard enough being in a Western setting, but also equally as hard because they're black. Yeah, 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 yeah. So we see this whole thing play out for this in this whole movie where Rufus goes to this town that he has built. He's given this town over to Wiley Esco, who is played by Dion Cole. Wiley has been running this town for a while, and he doesn't want to let Rufus have the town back. And Rufus beats him within an inch of his life. He's got all gold teeth. There's a really good scene where he plays like he's telling Rufus off, and it turns out he's just practicing. And this is the funny Dion Cole that we know in this moment. But Rufus ends up beating him within an inch of his life, knocking out a lot of his gold teeth and sending him running out of town, in which case he goes right to Nat Love's gang, which are the good guys, and he kind of tells them what's up. Now, we've already picked up with Bass Reeves at this point, and we learned that Bass Reeves is on the side of Nat Love, even though he was instrumental in catching Rufus Buck and getting him locked up in the first place. That was an agreement that was based upon everybody's best interest at the time. But truth be told, nobody really wants to deal with Rufus Buck because he is a wild card. He has a hair trigger. Like I said, he's psychopathic and ruthless in ways that a lot of people tremble. That's the other thing I love. Another thing I love about Western is that the bad guy, when you say their name, it's like everybody gets quiet, like, ooh, oh, oh. You know? And then that's another one of those sounds where you're like, everybody's talking and the piano is going, and you say Rufus Black, and it's like, so everybody knows, in order for things to go smoothly for anybody, for all the towns that are around Foxwood. I think that's the name of the town that Rufus Black owns, or is commandeering. Everybody knows that not only that town, but surrounding towns are in danger if Rufus Buck is not dealt with, right? So that's where our Bass Reeves character comes in, because he's going to help Nate Love and the good guys become a part of their group, and he's going to help them get rid of Rufus Buck and his group. So they all head out. That's when they meet Wiley Esco, and he tells them they're not really sure. They don't really trust him. There's a lot of dialogue in here that is so good, that is so rich and so telling. We're not going to go verbatim, but it's so good, you guys. You gotta watch the movie and put your captions on so that you can really see what's being said in this movie. And the references that they're making, the way that they make the references, they drop them in this movie. It leads me to believe that there will be a sequel. Right? There will be a sequel. I just feel like it will be. It's just so many avenues they can go down, from the Bill Pickett character, Jim Beckworth character, the Bass Reeves character, Stagecoach Mary. They could do a movie alone just based out of Stagecoach Mary's saloon. And we have some beautiful actresses that could do a wonderful job playing those characters. So I'm excited about a sequel, hopefully. Okay, so they head into town. They're headed that way. They're trying to formulate a plan And Zazie Beats' character, who played the stagecoach Mary, she decides she's going to take one for the team, and she's going to go in and she's going to try to figure out what's going on. Like, is Rufus Buck alive, and how alive is he? She's also going to try to figure out the lay of the land and bring that information back to our good guys, so to speak. Nat doesn't want her to do it. He tries to talk her out of it, but she's headstrong. And she's also in this place where she doesn't want to get too close to him. So a lot of stuff she's doing is to move away from him, even though it's moving her to a place of danger. She goes into the town, and she gets an audience before Rufus Buck. And before she gets the story out of her mouth good, Trudy Smith takes a butt of a gun and whoosh, knocks her out. Listen. That we have this moment when she comes to, and Trudy is interrogating her inside the town's jailhouse, so to speak. She's got her tied up, and she's eating an apple, and she's peeling this apple. As she's peeling this apple, she's telling this story about her sister, because she feels like, yeah, you are a tough cookie, stagecoach Mary, right? And you willful and you headstrong. It reminds me of my sister. And she tells this story about how her sister was bullied by this girl when they were young. And the girl took an apple and threw it at her sister and knocked her sister out. And she laughed about it. And so when her dad got home, her dad beat her for not defending her sister and protecting her sister. Then he goes over to the girl's house who threw the apple and knocked her sister out. And he finds them all crying and mourning, because he finds out that now Treacherous Mary is telling this story very, very thoughtfully, very detailed, as she slowly peels an apple, turns it and peels it. And they flash back between her mouth, her face, her mouth, her hair, her hands peeling that apple, her looking up at Stagecoach Mary, and Stagecoach Mary looking at her, waiting for her to, like me, thinking any moment she gonna reach out with this blade and cut your throat, Stagecoach Mary. They find the girl that threw the apple with her throat cut, dead. And he comes home and never says a word to her about it, right? She had defended her sister. She had killed this girl, right? And he sends her to live with her family, another family member in a town far away. And her sister died from an illness, some type of illness, right? Like fever or consumption or something like that is what she dies from. And she never sees her sister again, right? And it's just a wonderful story, the way she tells it. It is completely appropriate. One of the best things about Westerns is the storytelling, you guys. Is the storytelling. And so, listen, the guys know that Mary is going to be in trouble. They're right on her heels. They ride into town. And there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of conversation between the bad guys' fastest gun in the West, which is Cherokee Bill, and Jim Beckworth, which is the good guy's fastest gun. There's a lot of conversation. And this is where Rufus gets to meet Nat Love for the first time as an adult. And he has Stagecoach Mary in his grips. Okay? You got the bad guys surrounding the good guys. The good guys have rode into the bad guys' town, right? And they're up top. They've got guns up top, and they've got guns down below, right? They basically surrounded. We're just here for Mary. Tell us what we need to do. Oh, since you stole my money from earlier, this is Rufus. What I'm gonna need you to do is get me my money. Get me my money back, and you can have Mary. Everybody knows that he's too ruthless to give up Mary, right? But let's just go with what you're telling us, Rufus. Not only that, you got to do $10,000 over that Okay, how am I supposed to get that money? I don't know how you're gonna do it, but if you want her alive, you best do it, right? And so then we get this scene where the second time we get to see Caucasians is in this all white town. You guys, when I tell you this town is all white, okay, the buildings are white. The Caucasians are extra, extra Caucasian-y, right? The horse, like it's such a whitewash mayonnaise town. Like they walk around, there's not a peep. It's like silence except the sound of their boots and shoes hitting the ground slightly. I mean, and in rides Nat Love and Cathay. They ride in because they're going to go into the bank as a couple. They've got this idea that they're going to rob a bank. Obviously, they need a lot of loot, so they're robbing a town, a white town, and just the entire blankness of the slate, which is all whiteness. He rides in, obviously a beautiful man of color, and Cathay is dressed in the reddest dress and headdress you can imagine, like chapeau. She's in all red. And so they're the only pop of color in this entire town. It's hilarious. It's complete satire. It is beautiful. Um There's also a scene prior to this where Cathay learns that she's going to have to dress as a female to pull this off. And then one way that Nat gets her to agree to this is to tell her that it's for Stagecoach Mary. And it's in this moment we realize that she got love for Mary. And it may or may not be, it may or may not be because she loves her in the same gender loving way as a woman who loves women. Or it may just be because Mary gave her a chance. Mary gave her a chance to earn money. And she didn't say you got to be different. You got to look different. You got to work this saloon with the other girls and put on you know, a dress and walk around here and entertain the boys. But you can be exactly who you are and work for me. She may have done it for that reason too. That's why I say, I was talking to a friend of mine and I was like, I love that they didn't write Cathay's character as Butch, because I didn't read her like that. I didn't read her as Butch or Stud or anything. I read her as a woman who carried herself in a way that was to protect herself. And we see in this moment that she may be a same gender loving woman, but it's not, the character doesn't lead in with that, in my opinion. We get to see a lot of sensitive moments from the Cathay character. We get to see a lot of genuine moments of fear. So we get to see a lot of very feminine components to this individual. But again, she is a woman, so she's smarter than the average male and faster and stronger, right? She just has to go about it in a different way. And so when she concedes to wear the dress, she gets undressed right there in front of the guys, right? All of the guys, Nat Love character and Bill Pickett's character, Bass Reeves, they all turn their back, to show her respect and let her get dressed. It's the Jim Beckworth character who doesn't, and he makes a comment about what he thought it was going to look like down below. And I love how the other good guys kind of chastise him for it, right? It's not a movie where we are playing on these stereotypes to the point where we are showing this demeaning type of dialogue and conversation towards characters that may or may not be a part of a protected class. I love that. I love that that was skillfully done and thoughtfully done, and it wasn't about poo-pooing who Kathy was. It was about supporting who Kathy was, whoever that is. So it's a really great scene when they go into the all-white town and they end up robbing it. I couldn't figure out why Nat Love, when he leaves, he kind of befriends a white guy. He doesn't really befriend him. It's all a part of the plan. Basically, when he rides off, he tells him his name, Nat Love, and he drops that hat, right? And rides off. I couldn't figure out why until we get to the end of this movie. So basically, they go back into the town, but now they've got to have a plan. They know that they're not going to get Stagecoach Mary back without a fight. It's fewer of them than it is of the bad guys. They have already done some really, really ruthless things to assert themselves as desperados, right? And so we get to see the good guys not only using brawn but also brain in how they lay out their plan to get Mary back and to get Rufus, and it's beautifully done. We do get to see the two fastest guns go against each other. And we also get to see, after that is an epic fail for Jim Beckworth in going against Lakeith Stanfield's character Cherokee Bill. He does lose that battle fatally, but we get to see Cathay's character after he also kills Bill Pickett, Cherokee Bill, both in dishonorable ways. That's the other thing about Westerns, is that a lot of it is about honor. You don't shoot a man in the back. Only the scummy of the scummiest do that, right? And you don't sneak up behind a guy and shoot him, you know what I'm saying, and overtake him. You face him head on, right? That's what guns drawn in the square is all about. You look him in the eye, and who the fastest is who wins, and period. That's how it's solved, right? We get to see Cathay's character prove that she is actually the fastest gun, right? And she gets Cherokee Bill's character right in the neck, baby. And then Lakeith Stanfield does an excellent job where he stumbles out of there holding that neck, comes out of that saloon with those doors swinging, and chink, 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 chink. It's like complete silence as he comes down and he shows this blood. And he is like, yeah, dog, I'll be bloop. Falls dead on his face, and the blood is still out of his neck. Oh, I loved him, but I hated him. Oh, I loved him, but I hated him. I wanted him to bite it for what he had done to Jim Beckworth and Bill Pickett. Then we get to see the ruthless gunfighting. Good guys, bad guys. Fighting. We get to see where Rufus comes in. Rufus is sitting there, and Nat Love comes in, and he is pissed off because some of his friends have gotten killed, right? He didn't have a huge gang anyway. Some of his friends have gotten killed, you guys. And he's going to have it out because you killed my mama and my daddy. You know what I'm saying? And Rufus lays it out for us that he had a daddy that was more ruthless than him, right? Old Daddy Buck. And Daddy Buck would beat him up from sun up to sundown. And then one day after killing his mama, he ran off, right? And changed his life and changed his name. He became a priest, a man of the cloth, and changed his name to Love. Baby, when I tell you Nat turned his head, he was like, "You a liar." And he's crying, "You a liar. You take that back, you liar. You scoundrel." But Rufus kept telling it, honey. He kept telling, And when I hunted him down for years, And when I became older, I found him. He was living in a place, that denoted him as a good guy. He had changed his name to Love, but he was still the same ruthless, brutal, abusing, murdering, treacherous father that I had known my whole childhood. And when I got the opportunity, I killed everything he loved except his son. His son, I marked him so I'd know him when he came for me in the future. That same son, his name is Love, but he's really a buck. You are a buck and you are my brother. By this time, that Love is like, you a liar. And he turns to walk off. He turns to walk off from this ugly truth. You know, like I said, Jonathan Major always does a beautiful job in bringing the sensitivity to all his roles, right? Here's the moment you've been waiting for. Everybody else you have gunned down without hesitation. But him telling this story, it made you want to turn and run instead of fight, right? But Rufus has a plan here. He wants it to be, he wants Nat to kill him dead. He wants Nat to carry the pain of this truth with him. He, like I said, is a psychopath. He knows that, oh yeah, I could fight with this dude and possibly kill him, right? But that's not the punishment I want for him. I want for him to live with the fact that I'm his brother. That his daddy was that he has defended a daddy that wasn't no good, no account. I want him to carry this pain and this anguish, right? And so he walks up. When Nat Love's character tries to walk off, he walks up on him. How dare you walk off? I'm telling you right now, you're a buck. And I'm a buck too. So as much as you hate me, the same blood that runs through my vein runs through yours. And Nat shot him. Yeah, you've been touched. You've been touched. You've been touched, Rufus Bruck. You don't walk on water. You're not invincible, right? But we don't get to see a lot of the Rufus Buck character. We get to see him here and there in his ruthless ways, right? We get to see that, yes. But he seems to have softened, and Bass Reeves kind of referenced this. He seems to have, whether it's old age or having been locked up or the fact that he's dealing with his own pain, he seems to take this moment to almost welcome and invite Nat to kill him. Like he's tired, like he's over it, like he doesn't want to do it. Like if he had to do it, he could, but essentially I could go either way. And if I gotta die, I want to die by your hands. And so Nat obliges him. After he gets that first bullet off and he drops, he shoots him again, right? And screams, he is so. And when he turns to shoot him that first time, we see that Rufus Buck's character is crying too. I mean, it's a really, really good moment. And so we find out that they're actually brothers. And that's the twist. That's the twist to it. It's crazy. We also get to see Stagecoach Mary and treacherous Trudy fight it out. I love Regina King in this role. She did an absolutely amazing job. I love that she first kind of came off the way she was talking. I was like, what is that? Geechee Gullah? Southern? What is that? I think it was supposed to be steeped in sort of like this uneducated, book sense type talking. Like she lacked the refinement that Mary had, but in conversation. And there was points where she kind of sounded like the character that she plays on Boondocks. She plays the little character on Boondocks, the youngest boy on Boondocks. And so there were points where she kind of sounded like him, but that was kind of washed away. She kind of got that in control a little bit, and we just got this sort of uneducated type Trudy that gave her a little bit more grit, right? A little bit more ruthless. We get to see a great fight between the two of them, and we get to see Mary definitely best Trudy in the fight. We did not see Trudy die per se, I don't think. So I hope Trudy's character comes back in the sequel. If not, I'd like to see Regina King play another character in the sequel, a whole different character in the sequel. That would be fine too. Yeah, this is a really, really good movie. The soundtrack is really, really good as well. Um, you guys, this is a must see. It is a must see. It is a must have. The soundtrack is a must have for your playlist as well. So you guys, please check that out. Again, the black people, men and women, ride their horses. We get to see them mounting the horses. We get to see them handling the armory really, really well. Um, uh, the budget that was lacking in the 2013 They Die by Dawn was not lacking in this movie. The the costuming was beautifully done, as well as all of the training with the animal husbandry. And I don't think husbandry is right. I think husbandry speaks to the breeding of animals, but you know what I'm saying. Um, the way they handle the animals, the reference of the animals, the them riding them handling the armory, the guns. Everybody did a great job. I know there was some conversation before it rolled out about Stagecoach Mary being light, like this conversation about colorism. The young lady that plays Stagecoach Mary, she is a fairer black woman, but Regina King isn't dark. It doesn't matter because Stagecoach Mary, played by Zazie Beetz, is a black woman. Her dialogue, her countenance, her energy, the soul and the spirit of how she played that character was a black woman. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter to me whether she was light or whether she was dark. It didn't matter because she gave me black woman. She gave me black woman, right? Hair, everything, black woman. Beautifully done, you guys. Have you seen it? Tell me what you think. Tell me what your absolute favorite scene was in this movie. I think my favorite scene was when, before she went into the town, Stagecoach Mary went into the town, and he tried to stop her from going into the town and just really wanted to sacrifice everything, the whole mission that he had been on. And he had this ring that was tied to a piece of leather that he tied into his coat and his pants pockets and stuff to keep up with it. He asked her to marry him. It's just beautiful, beautiful conversation. It's this beautiful dialogue, and it's one of the reasons why we love Jonathan Majors so much. He brings a tenderness to all of his roles that is undefeated, period. Period. You have to watch it over and over again. There's going to be, the first time you watch it is just for the just sheer, indulgence of it. Like, eat as much as you can and then go back and watch it again, and then that's when you see the name of the train, and you can hear that Idris Elba is not is not giving us a lot of Western dialogue. His dialect isn't Western, but Jonathan Majors is spot on. He bodies this character. The Bass Reeves character, it is completely bodied by Delroy Lindo. Like, this is a great genre for him, right? He walks around as Delroy Lindo. He gives me cowboy vibes. So Lakeith Stanfield did an excellent job. Dion Cole, you wouldn't even recognize this guy. Seriously, really, really great. And Edie Gathega or Gathiga or Gathigi, who played Bill Pickett. Excellent, you guys. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your favorite characters are, your favorite scenes are. Put it down below. How many times have you seen it? I'd love to hear all of that. I hope you guys have an absolutely fabulous, fabulous Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it. And until next time, honeybees, mwah, 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 I holla.